Gatsby. So she was speaking on the panel. You looked so beautiful, so fit, and the way you were speaking was so engaging. And I had to speak to you. Finally, she was at the bar alone. I thought, this is my chance.
This is my opportunity just to slide in.
I knew that, well, I was hoping you would come on the show, but I knew that you would be perfect. And the athletic part of you is also what we have in common. I love this. I saw this on the website. I'm so happy to have a hard copy.
Yeah.
This is so easy to understand.
Yes.
How did you come up with this?
And it's so mindfully done. And I say that because there's been such an evolution of my menu, and this one I really like it. I'm going to stick with this one.
Yeah.
I feel like just being a consumer in the IV space and doing a lot of market research and what appeals to me and what didn't. I find that if you have a menu, for example, that's, it's that standard kind of like bluish aqua.
Yes, you're right.
And it's just different titles. You kind of get lost in it. So even as a clinician, I get lost in the menu and have a hard time differentiating one from the other and know that there's a difference between them. And then so I made it very distinctively different so that you can see that they're all different. They'll provide different things. And it's a bit of I call it like a buffet style of marketing. So say if you go to a buffet and everything's just kind of the same, you don't eat as much. Yeah. If there's a lot of variety, I know it myself. If I go to a buffet, I'm just eating everything because I want to try everything.
Yeah.
So I find that clients like, I want the yellow one. What does the blue one do? I want the purple one. So I find that just captivates your eye a bit more. And even when we do events, my tent almost looks like a circus tent. So
I love the tent.
The tent it's huge and it's colorful and it's rainbow, and I think our eyes are just attracted to bright colors. Yeah. And so when people get into an event, they beeline it over to my event, and
everything comes from within. What is the craziest patient request you've ever had?
I have a diploma in non-surgical gynecology, but there's a procedure that pussy puffing. And it's labial puffing. And so oftentimes when women are very lean, or say if they're going through menopause, you're going to lose collagen and fat pads down there just as you're going to lose fat pads anywhere else on their body. And she wanted really big ones. And I had to put a limit.
On how many
syringes. How many syringes that we're going to be doing.
I was always interested in that one.
Yeah, because it would, if it would cross that line, it'd be more of like body manipulation and fetishism, and that's not my practice.
Oh my god! I always wanted to learn that.
Is that you can have a significantly improved appearance and function. So, say when a woman and man are intimate, is that it could be actually painful and uncomfortable because there's not a lot of actually fat padding that's there. So it actually leads to more just overall comfort. And then more comfort leads to more stimulation leads to more enjoyment. But there's a limit.
Of course there's a limit.
There's a limit to how much. So I think if anything ranges within more like body manipulation, that's my draw line.
It's good that you know how to say no.
For sure.
We have to ingest good things. Otherwise, we're going to look old, no matter how many injections we put in.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's also just like that missing component. So when I have my assessments with my clients, it's not just clients come in and they want Botox. We do initial assessment and we go into supplementation. So what are they doing for supplements?
Oh, yes.
What does their diet look like? What's their hydration look like? What does their nutrition look like? How about their lifestyle? Because clients are coming for one thing, but maybe they can benefit from so much more. So through our clinic, I actually have education within functional medicine. So there's a variety of different tests that we do in order to assess someone's health. Prior to doing IVs, that we do someone's entire blood work panel as well. You can't start on a few things, but usually if you want to do ongoing IV therapy, we test your nutritional deficiencies, your iron, your B12, your vitamin D. All of those can have an impact on how you look as well. And then we also can do hormone analysis, food sensitivity tests, organic acids, DNA tests. So a lot of these things, of course, are great to know for your general health. They find that when they start to really hone in on the insides, the outward reflects. And when someone takes care of themselves, you can tell.
Yes.
So there's a certain glow. So that one thing where I said about what people don't understand about IV therapy, that's good to know, is that when someone is healthy, that makes them beautiful. When someone's healthy, they're radiant, and that makes them beautiful without even putting any injectables in their face. So I was saying how a client of mine, she's a receptionist, she needed an iron infusion for quite some time. It took us about a year until her doctor ordered her iron prescription. So for a year, I've known her to talk slow, speak slow, not be overly engaging, and her iron was about 6, which is very low. And we gave her an infusion the next week at the clinic. I saw her and she's like, Marie, I feel like I'm high. And she was talking quickly, moving quickly, she was laughing, she was engaging, she was bopping all over the clinic. And that iron infusion alone made her so much of a beautiful person, just because she was a radiant person. And she appeared so differently. So in our clinic, we focus just as much as the inside as we do the outside. A little bit of history. So my first degree was in kinesiology, as is yours. At age 17, I went to university at Western from Sault Ste. Marie. I was kind of plopped off at Western, and I was like, this is such a big city in comparison to where I grew up, and didn't travel much except for swim meets and stuff like that.
Swim meets?
Yeah.
I also did competitive swimming. They're so alike. I love it.
So aside from those trips, I didn't know much outside of my small town. And so I went to Western, and it's great. 20% of your degree is playing sports smarts. And I started personal training at the age of 17, and I started working at Kirk's Nutrition and GNC at the age of 17. So I was working at the Western Gym, I was working at Good Life, and I was working in nutrition stores. So these were my student jobs. And I started competing when I was 18. So I was training, and then my whole world was training and nutrition. And then when I was done, I had 1 year where I focused on, I just worked for a year. So I worked as a personal trainer and did a lot of athletic coaching, and then I went to nursing. So I had that history first. So I've always had kind of fitness background, and it's always been a part of my life. And I've competed on the national stage for fitness competing. I'm going to go back at some point, maybe next year. But I competed to that level, and then COVID hit, and then my business just got bigger from there. And then I went to nursing. So I wanted to go into aesthetics initially from the very beginning. I was saying my experience where I had a family member who was a doctor and said, can you be my model for this training I'm doing? And I'm younger, I'm in my early 20s, 22 I think it was. I'm like, I don't need Botox. He's like, yeah, you do. He's like, go look at your forehead in the mirror, and he looked it up. And for the first time I did that, expressed it. And because we know that some people just have overactive one part of their face. And then he's like, you're starting to develop these little static lines. And he was starting to get his training. And he's like, you can do this baby Botox just to smooth that out. And okay, I never even thought of it. And he wasn't pushing me on it. He was like, just consider it. So I went for this model, and I was going into nursing, and I was there at this training, and I just loved it. It was so cool because I just like being a part of being the client and observing what they're doing, and the clinicians, and the technicality of everything. So people who don't understand the industry, they don't understand the intricacies and the specificity and the in-depth knowledge of anatomy. And I just really liked that, and how precise it was. I'm like, this is a really precise science. Yeah. So that was my intention going into it initially for nursing. And then I went to do much details, but when I was in nursing school, I lost an immediate family member to suicide. And that made me pivot, because I felt that I wanted to be an agent of change in an industry or an area of medicine that I felt that it needed something different. And whenever I was thinking of him being in the hospital, I was like, I hope he has a good nurse. I hope he has a really good nurse. And that's why I wanted to be that nurse. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be that good nurse. So I had 10 years of working in psychiatric emergency, and about 5 years of working at McMaster Children's Hospital, and the psych unit. So kind of 5 years into doing that, full time, I think I actually do what I want to do in the first place. So then in 2018, I did my training in aesthetics. And this doctor I worked at the hospital, he was also in my class. And he's like, do you want to do this together? And I was like, okay. So then we opened our office in Hamilton. And so that's my headquarters ever since.
Wow.
So I'm in Hamilton, Oakville, Burlington, Toronto, Markham, and London. So I'm kind of spinning a lot of areas, but my headquarters is in Hamilton. And when I started doing aesthetics, I got my first IV a few months later. So I was training for a competition in 2018, and I started to feel kind of down and like low energy and just feeling like the lows of competing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't need an IV. I've always wanted to get one. And I really helped me just like 1% better, just kind of push through this last little bit. And I went to a naturopathic doctor, and she gave me the most basic IV, which is the Myers,
Mm-hmm.
and the most standard thing. And I walked in there feeling awful, and I left there, and for the next 2 weeks, I felt amazing. So I was like full of energy, and I was focused, and I didn't have cravings, and I was sleeping through the night. And after my competition, I was like, whatever that was, I want to know everything about it and make that a part of my practice because I was such a believer. So that's how it started my inspiration, because I saw the impact that one IV had on myself. And I came on to is that I was taking all of the supplements.
Yeah.
I was a supplement junkie. I
Wow.
had a cupboard in my kitchen, and I had like a crate that's like morning vitamins. I have anytime vitamins, and at nighttime I have all of them with a supplement store. And so in my mind, I'm like, for whatever reason, I'm not absorbing these things. So that when I gave it to myself by IV, I started to actually get all the nutrients. And my body started to function the way that it should. And then so I've been doing IVs on myself every 2 weeks ever since. But I did all the training internationally, basically on IV, even if it was redundant, even if it was like, oh, I've done one similar, but I'm going to sign up for this one again. Or I'm going to sign up for this organization's IV therapy, or this one's, or this workshop. So even if I learned like one thing different, that was different from my knowledge base, I want to do all of them. So any IV training that exists on the planet, I've done it. So that's why I've kind of become who I am in the industry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in shock. There's a lot.
There's a lot. And then in terms of like functional medicine, so people ask I did functional medicine. I did a program right after nursing school. So you have to be a clinician to some capacity in order to do this. And then you get ability of ordering all these tests. So prior to having my clinic, I was doing that more on an online basis and coaching basis. Doing the Dutch hormonal tests and like the DNA tests and organic acids and cortisol tests, and preparing women for fertility, so tracking their cycles. And then we just offer supplementation plans, nutrition plans. So I was doing that before, but it's great now because you can really hone in on specifically what clients need, because these tests can demonstrate that someone has a genetic predisposition to having a deficiency in a certain nutrient or an increased necessity for another one. Or even their basic blood work. If someone has you need to show like you have a vitamin D deficiency in order to get a vitamin shot, that makes the world of difference for someone. And so my concept is task, don't guess.
Yeah.
So instead of doing all of these things, just really figure out what your body needs. Because even if we're consuming lots of vitamins and supplements, if it's too much, is that becomes a stressor on the body as well, because then the body has to digest, assimilate, eliminate all these nutrients, and it needs a certain amount of cofactors and enzymes in order to process these things. If you're giving yourself too much, just kind of making guesses, your body can get overloaded. You have some GI issues, you can have GERD because your body's releasing too much digestive enzymes to break it all down. So they have to be very precise on what someone needs. They achieve their goals a lot quicker with less expenses.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been doing this? The aesthetic part.
The aesthetic part since 2018.
It's 2018.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
All right. And with the IVs,
Mm-hmm.
do you find that a lot of people are interested in doing it at first, or do they come in for Botox?
It's interesting because lots of my business has been referral based. And so I started in 2018, and I worked amongst a few hospital sites. So when one of my colleagues needed Botox, like, oh, Marie does that. And so that's how it kind of started. So I have a lot of my hospital colleagues who have come to me. And so I do a variety of different things. So some people come to me for IV, and then when I do aesthetics, or vice versa. So they come to me for aesthetics as referral, and then when I do IV. Eventually, I've learned that once you give someone some education on the rationale why we're doing these things, it's very rare that someone comes in and has one without the other. So the way that I do my practice is that if someone is coming for lip injections, for example, I usually set them up on an IV, whether it's a glow IV, and while they're numbing, they're also receiving red light. So there's no wasted time. So they're receiving nice treatment of red light to increase collagen and angiogenesis. It actually helps the numbing work better, and I feel it penetrates further because there's more circulation around the face, and they don't feel anything afterwards. And then while their IV is going, they're getting their red light, we start doing their lips, and then they're on their way, and they look good and they feel good when leaving your office.
It's amazing. I'm mind blown.
I do a lot of IV therapy and even an authority within the space. I also have aesthetic medicine, so I think that at the forefront we talk about IV therapy because that's a bit what differentiates myself maybe from different providers, because I focus equally on the IV therapy component as much as the aesthetics. I have a very inside-out approach to aesthetic medicine. So I truly believe that aging happens from within and then reflects outwardly. So just as much as we're doing things topically on our face, whether it's injections and microneedling and lasers, we have to focus on the inside as well, because that's where it all starts. If you can slow that, then you can improve the way that you look.
Your look really draws people in. And how you mentioned they'll look at your physique, they'll come in maybe for IVs, well, we talked about this, that they do the filler afterwards, but also the glow, like that is crazy. People are a lot of people lacking many nutrients here in Canada.
Yeah, definitely. I would actually say we need your blood work on file every year in order to do IVs. So you can get started if you have that on file, and if not, we do it through our office. And if someone is demonstrating a particular deficiency based on their symptomology, we order like say vitamin D or B12. I would say the majority of clients are deficient in either iron, B12, or vitamin D.
Interesting.
And those are also two of the simplest things in order for us to replenish. Even it shows to its efficacy. So say if a client gets a B12 or gets a vitamin D, it's going to do the blood work, it's actually super therapeutic because everybody's like, yes, I finally have this.
Yeah.
And I have clients who come in even with like some significant mental health concerns, and in 2 weeks like, no, I just need my vitamin D. Right?
Wow.
There's so much things that we can benefit from. And iron, I'm a clinic that does iron infusions. So the way that works is you have blood work that demonstrates you have a deficiency, and it typically is your primary doctor that orders Amphenopher or monoferric, and then I can administer it. So I administer it in my clinic. And you think of that iron is the oxygen carrying capacity of your blood. So we're breathing right now, you and I. Why? Because we need oxygen in order to go into the Krebs cycle, in order to make ATP. So we need oxygen in order to make energy. And where is that oxygen going? It's going to our legs, going to our fingertips, it's going to our brain, it's going to our muscles, it's going to our organs. So when people don't have iron, we're not making use of the oxygen we're breathing in. So it's not going to our brain. So they feel slow, they feel a low mood, they feel that they have, lack of energy and they walk upstairs, they're out of breath, and they're young people. And yes, they have an iron replacement. So when patients get that iron, they're a completely different human being. They can tell that in their face, you can tell how they move. Same thing with B12, same thing with vitamin D. Vitamin D, around this time, November is when it starts to hit the seasonal affective disorder. That's in correlation with the low sunlight and then the plummeting vitamin D that we're getting. Yeah. And vitamin D is so good towards our mental health. So if that starts to plummet, then our mental health kind of goes over to the wayside. Yeah. So we have clients like, the weather's like this, it's like, I just feel blah.
Yeah.
And I even see that now, where when I go to, if I go to Pilates or if I go to the gym, it's like there's less people showing up at the gym because I feel the sun, the solar energy kind of activates us.
Yeah.
And when we don't have that, it's in conjunction with vitamin D, that plummets. It's like we just kind of want to stay in, or we just have less energy and less activated. So I think it's important to supplement accordingly with vitamin D, and we do shots, we do 50,000 IUs, and that brings you up to therapeutic levels, but then the encouragement is actually taking however much we dosage in terms of IU and doing that on a daily basis in order to maintain your levels. You can't rely on shots exclusively, so your body likes to take it on a daily basis like a circadian rhythm. So we give consultation with our clients in terms of what to do for supplements, so not just IVs in the clinic, but we also do medical grade supplementation as well.
Amazing. And what is your morning routine?
My morning routine. I'm pretty lucky that I've built a life. So I used to work shift work. I used to work, like I said, every single day. I worked 4 days in the hospital, and then I worked 4 days at my clinic, and I'd give myself like half a day off between. And I did that for 2 years before I went casual.
Wow.
Because I still wanted to work at the hospital. I didn't want to let that go. And then I was so excited about doing my aesthetic business. So it's just like, I'm like, I'll do both. I was going to do both. And I worked for a doctor. Like, you can come and go as you please. The office was like a multi-use space.
Wow.
So I mostly kind of did everything at the clinic. And then he would do his private consultations at the clinic. So I was able to just kind of make it my own hours. So I built a life where I wake up around 8, actually. So I go to bed a little bit later. My chronotype is that of a wolf. So I go to bed a bit later. And I wake up around 8 and I work out before I go to work. So if I get that in first, so I wake up usually fasted, I take all my supplements, and I call this my super water. So it's a liter of water with lemon and glutamine and electrolytes and amino acids and salt. I have that first. And then a shot of wheatgrass. And I was saying to you earlier that my pre-workout is actually 3 needles. I know it sounds so intense, but it's arginine, carnitine, and NAD.
Yeah. Again, this
So
is like,
it's like
I love this.
one shot per glute, and then into my subcutaneous.
Nice.
And that's what I do before I lift. And I find that there's like a distinct difference of my training capabilities if I do that versus when I don't. So, like say if I'm away on vacation, I'm obviously not traveling with needles and vials. And I work out and I do chin-ups and push-ups and stuff, and that's like you can really assess your fitness. I'm training probably at half capacity when I don't do my routine versus when I do. So that also goes towards my belief of these nutrients, because I actually do it myself and I see the benefits of it. So like carnitine is going to go towards exercise performance, and arginine is going to be very potent vasodilator. So these are usually found in pre-workouts. But orally, gram for gram, orally you're eating 10% bioavailable of amino acids versus 100% if you do an injection or IV. So the efficacy is far more by an injection than taking a bunch of powders. And back to the part about powders and supplements is that it almost puts a bit of strain on your system if you're doing too much in order to get the same efficacy of what you do by a needle. So though it sounds extreme, it's been a big part of the bodybuilding industry for a long time, doing carnitine pre-workout. And then your exercise capacity is increased, your fat mobilization is increased, your vasodilation. So you get so much nutrients and blood flow through the muscles. And that's my morning routine. And I follow up with post-workout meal, usually a 2-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein. That's the best thing in order for repairing your tissues and replenishing your glycogen. And then I start work around noon. And then I usually go until about 9 or so.
9 p.m.
9 p.m. People love that I work that late.
Yes.
So say if a client is off work at 6, has to take care of the kids, or the kids go to bed, and then they can come see me, or they usually have their partner able to watch the kids while after work. So I'm a little bit of a night owl, and so I work more of the evening shift.
That's amazing. Yep, for me, I'm a more early person.
Yeah.
So yesterday I finished work at 9, and I thought that was crazy. I got to the gym. I work out after work normally. The gym was almost empty, but you know, it's...
And you know that work says, there's a book called The Power of When.
Yeah.
And it goes to your chronotype. And I think we've all known someone who always wakes up early at a certain time, or someone who always goes to bed at a certain time. And it's not, I just feel bad that I'm someone who's to wake up later, because I have to wake up at 3:30 every morning in order to be successful. For me, I'm like, I would wake up and I would feel awful, right? I would feel awful. And for me, I would wake up at a certain time, and that's what my body likes. And I'm getting the same amount of hours of sleep as everyone else. And then I just stay up later than everyone else. So while they're sleeping, I'm just doing all my busy work at that time. I think being in school too for so long, I usually did my best work in the evening when it was quieter and you don't have other obligations, and so I just kind of got used to doing a lot of my other stuff in the evenings. Mm-hmm.
And what is your most common IV?
So the best IV that I would recommend for people to do, because we spoke a bit about this at the Gatsby event, I've created one called the Superhuman, and so that's the one that I usually do. So I start with a vitamin infusion, and then I follow up with a NAD infusion, and then glutathione. So these ingredients have to be separated because they can interact and denature each other. So I always have NAD by itself, and I always have glutathione by itself. And then also too, people sometimes come just for the NAD, and I understand that expense is a factor, and these aren't cheap services, but people come just for a NAD. However, the best way to receive NAD is to receive a vitamin infusion first that contains methyl donors that helps you assimilate the nutrients of the NAD. So your experience receiving it is better, but also the assimilation is increased. And you're going to have a far better effect and result if you do that first, rather than just doing NIV infusions. Also too is that people can experience some discomfort when they get the NIV infusion, and lots of times, majority of my clients are super dehydrated. So say if you're dehydrated and getting an IV of this concentrated nutrient that already makes you feel kind of like queasy, kind of feels like you're on top of a roller coaster. Some of my clients love it, some people hate it, and some people tolerate it. The more you do it, the easier it actually becomes. So you can have a client who initially comes in like, oh my god, I don't even know how you have returning customers because that was terrible. But if they kept on doing it, it's super easy and they're done in 45 minutes. Wow. So your first time just communicating to the client, first time is the more difficult time. Number one, you've never had that sensation before. So you're kind of a bit anxious about it. Like, am I supposed to be feeling like this? Even I gave myself my first infusion, I was trained on it, but the train didn't have the patient experience in it. And so I'm like, I rolled it down, I'm like, should I be feeling this way? And then I did some digging, like, oh, that's normal. Okay. So I roll it back up again. And the slower you go, the less you feel, right? So for me, I tell my clients, when you're going to do an ID, come in with some work, come in with your laptop, come in with some Netflix, come in with some accounting, a book, and some snacks, just so that you're not like you're in an urgency or a rush to get out of here. Because it's when you're in a rush, you feel a bit anxious because you're trying to go so fast. So the best thing to do is a vitamin infusion, then the NAD, and then the glutathione. And so that's the superhuman. So it's like the Cadillac. It's the IV that has everything. I'd say that is a really important one. Also too, depending on the season, a hangover can be a very popular one. I like explaining the science behind the hangover drip. So usually it's in a liter infusion. So we have 250 ml, 500 ml, and then a liter. So a big part of being hungover is dehydration. And so alcohol is a diuretic. So at the level of your nephrons in your kidney is that it regulates fluid balance. And so it makes it so you release a lot of the water that you're having at the level of kidneys. People often say, oh, it's breaking the seal. This doesn't exist. Alcohol is a diuretic. So that's why you start peeing. I've heard this word like, oh, you break this and like that. No, that makes no sense.
So that's bullshit.
So you're just an alcoholic. The diuretic is just kicking in.
Okay.
So your body, the level of kidneys is releasing water. But even after you stop drinking, even after 24 hours, is that your kidneys are still releasing the water from the effects of the alcohol. So the next day, when you're drinking water orally, it's actually just being released to your kidneys and not being absorbed into your cells. So that's why it doesn't matter, because it's not going into your cells, because there's mechanisms that are beyond your control. So when you get an IV, just the hydration, it goes into your vascular system, it goes straight to your cells, hydrated, sodium chloride. So number one. Number two is that thiamine, which is B1, is what creates energy within the brain. And alcohol binds the thiamine. So when you're drinking alcohol, all your thiamine is bound and you can't use it, so therefore you're not creating energy within the brain. So that's why you don't feel so great up top, and your reaction time is poor, and you're not thinking clearly, and that's why in the hospital, so working in psych emergent working in the ER, if a client comes in and they're a chronic alcoholic, we give them either a shot or an IV of thiamine almost immediately because of the importance of a vitamin. Also plays to the importance of vitamins and minerals, right?
Yeah.
If it goes untreated or someone has some alcohol for a period of time, they can get a Korsakoff's dementia, which is created from just alcohol because it's prolonged time of the brain not being able to create energy. So thiamine, which increased level of thiamine in the hangover, and then glutathione, which is given in the bag afterwards, is going to go towards the detoxification of the liver. So all the alcohol, we know this. Those who drink alcohol, your liver gets impacted because of the toxicity of the metabolites of the alcohol. And if your liver doesn't function, the rest of the body doesn't function well. So it doesn't just detox, it's actually the most metabolically dynamic tissue within the body. Your liver is what actually creates peptides for the body. So it regulates so much more than detoxification. So we get the glutathione in there and we push the alcohol out so that within 2 hours you're feeling fresh as a daisy instead of being hungover for 1 to 2 days.
I love that. Do you drink alcohol?
Barely.
Yeah.
So I had my first glass of alcohol when I was 27. So it just never was a part of my life, and I'm lucky that I'm not someone who gets much from alcohol. So say if a friend brought me a drink or a bottle of wine, I'll sip on it like over a period of time, but I'm not someone who overly enjoys alcohol.
Yeah. I don't drink either.
Surrounding yourself with certain people who are in line with you, and never talked about even like the othership event. So that was a Friday evening, and it was like such a party. And it was I think there's shift like that's happening where your partying and social is going to the sauna and a cold plunge and music. And to my knowledge, people are sober. But there was no alcohol being served, and it was a multi-hour event, and it was a sober event. And so it's like surrounding yourself with people like that who want to spend their evening doing sauna and community, because more of that's starting to exist rather than going to the pub or the bar. And I think this was the one of Wisdom podcast was talking about North America and then the amount of pubs and bars that have been closing over the past few years. So it's the culture is changing. Where before it'd be like, college town, going to the bar and getting drunk, that's not seen as cute as maybe it once was before.
Yeah.
Right. Being cute is being successful and being fit and, appearing healthy.
Exactly.
Being unhealthy isn't cute necessarily anymore.
My ideal Friday night is leg day, sauna, steam room, everything shower, and sleep.
What's your favorite workout? What's your favorite exercise?
I'm between core, like max out core, and spinning and Pilates and yoga and bar. I like everything.
I know.
I do it all.
That's good.
That's my favorite.
It's a nice balance. I just started. I'm heavy weight training is my favorite. So I lift like a bodybuilder essentially, and I'm a lot stronger than I look.
I have a feeling you are.
I'm a lot stronger than I look for being like 120 pounds. But I like lifting heavy. I've always liked that feeling. And I started off doing just heavy like Olympic lifts, and then being trained in kinesiology and learned like the basic standard bodybuilding lifts. When I started weight training, I was the only girl in the weight room around men, and I loved it. Yeah. So even around Western, like that's the gym girl kind of a thing. I was like 17, I just loved weight training. Yeah. And when I was 15, my dad got me like an encyclopedia of bodybuilding by like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that was like my favorite book. And so I've been so into that. So that's fundamentally kind of my routine. I run the stairs like two times a week. So in Hamilton we have these stairs, and I run those, and it's 330 steps, and we do like 4 to 8 flights. Wow. Of the stairs with a weighted vest. That's great. So that's usually like my favorite leg day, and then I'm just kind of into like Legree. I really like Legree. I want to work my core a bit more. Very humbling. Because I'm like, whatever. Like I'm testosterone. And I go to this thing, and there's like 16-year-olds like just crushing me. And I'm like, because if you're as strong as your weakest link. So if you haven't been training a certain body part or you're a bit balanced, it's going to be highlighting your imbalances. Yeah. So I always try to make sure I'm a well-balanced athlete and always have a strength component, cardio component, and the stretching relaxation component.
Yeah, that's exactly like me too. I feel like with even being in aesthetics, everyone's trying to get the nicest cheekbones, the nicest lips, which yours, by the way, are stunning. And then facial balancing.
Yeah.
I look in the mirror and I think body balancing.
Right. So I'm so glad you said that, and I think that's the industry is largely focused on the neck up, and ourselves, if we're trying to present ourselves in a particular way, it's also the neck down. So that communicates so much about you. And say if your objective, because objective of people clients come to us is to looking more beautiful or more attractive or more healthy, is that the neck down, that's a lot of real estate a lot of people are not focusing on.
Yeah.
And that's when people come to me in my clinic and my history with training background in functional medicine. I want to focus on the whole body. And even back to my, history in working in psych, it's their mental health is also important too. So if you have someone who's absolutely aesthetically gorgeous, but they're unhappy and they have no energy and they're depressed, that's not someone who is appearing gorgeous, but also too that's not the ultimate outcome. So taking the focus away from just the face, focusing on the whole body, and I actually think that that's going to be going into the future of aesthetic medicine. We see that a lot in the States and other countries. So you're going to be seeing places like Next Health, for example, become supernatural. That's in Yorkville, and it kind of looks like Next Health as well. So it's the amalgamation of functional medicine, aesthetic medicine, whole body well-being, the use of peptides, or blood work analysis, using plasma exchange. That's in the future of aesthetic medicine, understanding that it happens from within. Aging happens from within, and it's whole body health that we're looking for, not just reduction within wrinkles and fuller lips. So it's working on the whole person.
I completely agree with you.
And so with Canada, we're always the last to get the cool stuff.
I know.
So we had to do a little bit of medical tourism. I'm going to be doing a plasma exchange for my birthday. So I'm going to go to Next Health and do a plasma exchange. And they do is they take out all of your plasma and they replace it with albumin and sodium chloride and nutrients. And your plasma can carry a lot of pathogens, inflammation, and it goes to your entire blood, goes through this machine, removes your plasma, and then replaces it with clean plasma. It's kind of like getting an oil change. So that's new. People doing ozone therapy, that's similar to that. A lot of forms of emerging in aesthetic medicine is doing IV exosomes and IV stem cells. So these are all things that are up and coming for Canada use, but these are being used by other countries and North America. So I feel that's coming. So in terms of like our colleagues in our community, is that kind of getting ahead of the game and doing some training there and getting familiar with these things that are coming, because once that becomes available, if we don't have that kind of understanding or that knowledge base, then we're going to be behind of other clinics who are doing the same. Even with peptides, for example. Peptides are huge right now. They're not regulated in Canada, but through other places in North America, a huge part of their clinic is actually done on peptides. And for example, copper peptides, UPC-157, all the anti-aging modalities, so like Eptilon, that's good, growth hormones, secretagogues. So these are all things that maintain our overall youthfulness from the inside out. So we're definitely missing piece if we're not doing those things. There is Ed Milet. He's a podcaster. He's also a famous businessman. And in one of his podcasts, he was saying, whenever I see someone who looks shockingly younger for their stated age, I ask them what they're doing, and they all say mad.
Wow.
So I'm a huge believer in that myself, is use of NAD. And so if your clients are not doing that, they have that missing piece. So sometimes we think of NAD because it is so good for the brain, it's so good for athletic performance and just feeling good. But think of it, so nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, it's the coenzyme that makes ATP within the cell of the Krebs cycle. You all remember that from science classes. Yeah. It's one of the things that we used to dread in school. It's that's my fun reading now. was looking at the Krebs cycle.
That's what I feel
It's
Yeah.
like, that's what I want to learn now. So if that's going to be true for every cell of the body, it needs NAD. NAD oxygen combines together, and that's what creates ATP. And ATP is the currency that makes everything happen in the body. So if that's detoxification, if that's creating new proteins, if that's creating peptides, if that's creating new collagen, if your skin doesn't have NAD, then your body can't actually regenerate and make new collagen. So that's why it's that inside-out approach. It reverses all signs of biological aging from the inside out. That's also going to be helping with free radical damage, right? So if you control free radicals, you control the inflammation, and then it's a free radical damage that's going to be leading to premature aging.